It's your NCRT books. Next chapter, Gathering the Storm in Ersama, has been written by Mander, and I just have divided this chapter into some points, and this chapter tells about the devastation after a storm, after a super cyclone. The points are: menacing storm. Prashant decided to go to back home to search his family members. Next, condition of Kalikuda that has been described by Prashant himself. When he reaches there, he decided to take help of Red Cross shelter so that he can do well. He can just give the previous phase to that Kalikuda village. Next is played role of a leader. At this time, he was a very courageous leader. Now, the food supplies and women's role also having too important in this chapter. And at last, his wounded spirit healed, because Prashant was very sad at the time and he can never forget such a devastating scene in his life. Now I am going to tell you about the chapter in detail. It was a day of 27th October 1999. Prashant had gone to the block headquarters at Ersama. Ersama is a small town in coastal Odisha. In the evening, a dark and menacing storm gathered very quickly, and the speed of the wind was 350 km per hour. Due to heavy rain, it was a darkness all around. The house where the narrator of the story stayed was filled with water, and all the person have to stay there, have to took shelter on the roof. Now Prashant's decision to go back to meet his family members and to look them, to search them. Prashant was very sad to see at this, and his village from there, Kalikula. It was about 18 km from Ersama. At that time, he was in Ersama. The cyclone and the surge of the ocean continued for the next 36 hours. Although the speed of the wind was reduced by the next morning, the narrator was now determined to seek out his family members. The condition of Prashant's village, Kalikuda, has also been described here. He took a long, strong stick and started to his village through swirling flood waters. It was a very dangerous journey, but he constantly had to use his stick to locate the road. Prashant eventually reached to his village, Kalikuda. His home was nowhere there, and only the reminiscences of the roof can be seen there. There were only remains of his home. Some of his belongings were also stuck in the branches of some trees which were lying there on the ground in water. Prashant also played the role of a great leader, because he organized a group of youths and elders. This group jointly persuaded the merchant for rice. This time the group succeeded. The people of the shelter got to eat their fill for the first time in 4 days. Now they were satisfied, and the volunteers cleaned the shelter of filth, urine, vomit, and floating dead bodies, carcasses of animals, and the corpses of human, which were floating in the water. And he just also described here in this chapter. Now Prashant has also described how the food was supplied, food packets by military helicopters, and the role of women. The quantity of the dropped food packets was not enough for the people, as they were hungry and many in number. The helicopter did not come again for more such help. The youth deputed the children to lie on the sand with utensils their stomach, and the plan was successful. They got more food packets dropped by the helicopters, and women were also mobilized to look after the orphan children, while the men secured food and materials for the shelter. The children, the childless widows and the children, they were put to look after by the women. Prashant persuaded the woman to start working in the food for work program started by an NGO for children, and he organized sports. Now Prashant, his spirit, as he was too sad, his spirit was healed after 6 months. Prashant's wounded spirit was healed simply because he had no time to bother about his own pain, and he can never forget such pain in his life, though the village's condition was recovered. So students, now I am going to explain this chapter in Hindi. What all about I just have told to you in English. तो हम बात कर रहे हैं एक मिनांसिंग स्टॉर्म की, जो कि 27 अक्टूबर 1999 में प्रशांत जब अपने फ्रेंड के घर गया हुआ था एरसामा में, वहाँ पर उस सुपर साइक्लोन ने उनको घेर लिया, एंड द स्पीड ऑफ दैट विंड वाज 350 किलोमीटर पर आवर, एंड ड्यू टू हैवी रेन्स ऑल अराउंड डार्कनेस देयर, चारों तरफ अंधेरा ही अंधेरा था, और इतना पानी भर गया वहाँ पर एरसामा में कि उनको कहाँ रहना पड़ा, अपने फ्रेंड के घर की छत पर शेल्टर लेना पड़ा। इसके बाद प्रशांत ने डिसाइड किया कि वो अब जाएगा और वहाँ से 18 किलोमीटर दूर एरसामा है, और वो अपने फैमिली मेम्बर्स को ढूंढेगा, और उसने वुड्स अपने स्टिक अपने पैरों में लगाकर रोड की डायरेक्शन को लोकेट करने की कोशिश की, और निरंतर वो इस काम को करता रहा, चाहे वो जर्नी बहुत ज़्यादा डेंजरस ही क्यों नहीं थी स्टूडेंट्स। नेक्स्ट प्रशांत ने ये डिसाइड किया कि वो रेड क्रॉस शेल्टर में जाएगा और वहाँ से पीपल के लिए हेल्प लेगा, क्योंकि उसने डिस्क्राइब किया है कि कालीपुड़ा में जब वो पहुँचा तो उसने देखा कि वहाँ पे एनिमल कारकासेस एंड ह्यूमन कॉप्स ऑफ मैन, women and children were lying, also floating here and there in that water, and the brown sheet of water has covered whole the village. Only the reminiscences of the houses can be seen there. केवल नाम मात्र के लिए पहचाना जा सकता था कि यहाँ पे मेरा घर हुआ करता था। अब ये देखा गया कि पहले लोगों की भूख मिटाई जाए, क्योंकि लोग काफ़ी दिनों से 4 दिनों से उन्होंने कुछ भी नहीं खाया था, इसलिए सभी लोग कलेक्ट होकर किसानों के पास गए, और वहाँ से उन्होंने कुछ चावल लिए मर्चेंट से, और सभी को पेट भर के खाना खिलाया। उसके बाद कुछ वॉलंटियर्स बनाए गए जिन्होंने फिल्थ, यूरिन और वोमिट को क्लीन किया, और डेड बॉडीज़ को भी वहाँ से हटाया, और फिर ये डिसाइड किया गया कि हेलीकॉप्टर से प्रॉपर फूड हेल्प ली जाएगी, ताकि सभी को फूड प्रॉपरली खिलाया जा सके, सभी के पेट को भरा जा सके। और लेकिन उनका जो प्लान था, उन्होंने खाली सैंड पर बच्चों को लिटा दिया, और उनको कुछ यूटेंसिल दे दिए जो उन्हें तब बजाने थे जब वहाँ से कोई भी एयरक्राफ्ट पास होता है, और उनका ये प्लान सक्सेसफुल भी हुआ। उन्हें अब कुछ बहुत अधिक मात्रा में खाने की सामग्री मिल पा रही थी। नेक्स्ट से ये था कि जो विमेन हैं उनका रोल डिसाइड किया गया, क्योंकि ऑर्फन बच्चे इधर उधर घूम रहे थे, रो रहे थे, परेशान हो रहे थे, और जो विडो लेडीज़ थी वो भी परेशान हो रही थी। दे वर ऑल्सो रिमेम्बरिंग देयर फैमिली मेम्बर्स, सो it was decided that these women will look after the orphan children so that it can be controlled, and the men were given the जो ह्यूमन थे उनको वर्क दिया गया कि वो क्या करेंगे, और जो मैन है उन्हें क्या काम दिया गया कि वो फूड मटेरियल्स अरेंज करेंगे, शेल्टर अरेंज करेंगे, और उनको कोई प्रॉब्लम ना हो इस बात का ध्यान रखेंगे। हालांकि 6 मंथ्स लगे इस सबको इम्प्रूव करने में, और कालीपुड़ा की कंडीशन पहले जैसी हो गई, लेकिन NGOs की हेल्प से किया उन्होंने ये सब। लेकिन प्रशांत ने जो भयावह दृश्य देखा था तूफान का, सुपर साइक्लोन की वजह से, वो अपनी लाइफ में वो कभी भी नहीं भूल सकता, कभी भी वो दर्द उसके दिल से, उसके मन से कभी भी नहीं जाने वाला है। Dear students, so watch the video very carefully and attentively and learn about the chapter. Thank you.